Okay, in this video tutorial, I will talk about how to customize these picker buttons using the parameters shown in the attribute editor. So I will talk about the colors, the shapes, labels, and I will talk about how to use this Polygon tool and Bezier tool to draw freestyle picker buttons. Okay. Till now, I have covered all the picker button type in MG Picker Studio. So starting from the picker panel and select button, command button, attribute button, slider, and text item. They have some special attribute for each type, but they also share a lot of attribute in common. So we just pick the select button, and starting from this. The first one, name attribute. Name attribute is just for programming purpose. So it's for avoiding hard-coding the IDs. I will cover this probably in future tutorial, so we just skip this. And the next one, interactive. So I've already covered that before. If you turn off the interactive, the picker button no longer responds to the mouse click. And the position, x and y coordinates, and size, width and height. You can just use this button to scale it to the preferred size. Okay. Like you use the Control R hotkey. And there's opacity attribute. If you turn it to the 0, it will be total transparent. But this is only applied to the fill colors. Okay. And stroke width by default is 1, so you have 1 pixel size of strokes. Okay, and the stroke color, and as label, you can use this button to auto label the this select button. Basically, it's just use the say if it's select button, and you will just use the first member node as its label. And we got label color, label alignment for the horizontal and vertical, and label margin. Label margin, if you set the alignments all to center, this margin just doesn't make any sense. But if you say set the horizontal alignment to left, then the left margin will make sense. You can just tweak it to tweak the spacing between the label and the left side. Okay, so if you turn this to top, then suddenly the top margin makes sense. So it just based on this alignment, these parameters for margins can just make sense or just make no sense. And there's a font name, the font bold, italic, it's pretty simple, and font size. And we have a bevel attribute. If you turn it on, it will draw a little bit highlight here and a little bit shadows, so make the button more bevels. Okay. Also, there's a gradient. If you turn it off, it will just fill in the pure color. But if you turn on a gradient, it will use a little bit gradient here for light to a little bit dark. Okay, and also you can tweak the gradient mode from up to down and down up. This just affect the from light to dark or dark to light. Okay, there's a note. A note it's pretty useful. You can just type in a text. So when you activate the preview tool, you hover the mouse cursor on this picker button and it will show this text. And there's a rotation, and for rotation only the select button support that, and even for select button, if you switch to some certain of shapes, there's still no support for rotation. So rotation is only for select button and for some certain of shapes. I have just covered all the generic attributes that share among all these picker button types. Okay, so post action I have covered that before, and the sub namespace. See, for select button there's a sub namespace, and we got sub namespace. So what does this mean? This is a pretty important attribute, since if your rig is based on reference. So that means asset itself will contain some reference. Say you have a character and the body is from external Maya file and the head is also referenced from an external file. So you have the namespace within that asset, and if you reference the asset into other things, there will be layered namespace. So you just want to set the namespace here. Set namespace. This just contain the top level character. I mean the asset names. Okay, but you still got some sub namespace to name, say, body or the head. So this is really useful to support the layer reference rigging hierarchy. Okay, so if this select button contains some nodes and the final nodes that the tool will select will be the picker namespace column and the sub namespace column and then the nodes. Okay. Let's check out the command button. The command button has some commands. We have covered that before. An attribute button. It has some value counter. So value counter means the counter of this value text. Okay. So I can just turn it to red. So we just check out the slider. Slider have some frame color. So frame color means this background color. I just turn it to purple, and the background frame will be purple. So you can just turn off the frame to make it totally invisible. And also you can just turn on the frame, but just turn down the opacity. That will make it the same thing, but it will draw the frames outlines. Also, it supports sub namespace and this attribute and change command. For text, there's only one special attribute for text item. It's the background rectangle. So if you turn on the background rectangle, it will draw the background rectangle for you. So you can just turn the background to dark and make it a pretty decoration for the picker. So I can just turn it to dark, say this. And for panel, there's some more specific attributes. So there are frame visible, which will turn on and off this title area, and the frame color for these outline frames. Also the background image and how the image being aligned in this content area. This horizontal and vertical alignment and these background markings only make sense when the scale fit is turned off. So if you turn off the, say here, if I enlarge this picker panel, and if I turn off the scale fit, by default it's aligned to the left and then top. So if I switch to the right, it will go to the right. If I switch to the bottom, it will go to the bottom. So alternatively, you can just set it to center to make it always center in the content area. And also, if you set to the left, then the left marking will make sense. You can just type in an offset, say 10. So this will offset the 10 pixels based on this left edge. So depending on this alignment, these marking values will make sense or doesn't make any sense. We have scale fit to turn on off the scale of the image, and keep ratio. If you turn off this keep ratio and turn on the scale fit, it will just stretch the image to fill all the content area. Okay, so this is the attribute for the panels. So right now we have covered all the attributes for the all type of buttons. So let's talk about shapes. We select the select button and go to attribute editor. This is where you switch the item to different shapes. So by default it's rectangle, and each kind of shapes listed out here have some certain of attribute that's specific to that shape. So different shape may contain different attribute here. So for rectangle, let's run this attribute. So you can just turn up and down the roundness of this rectangle. So there's also a rounded rectangle, so no matter how you scale this button, it will always stay rounded. So there's no attribute specific for the rounded rectangle, and go to ellipse, it will become ellipse, and circle, triangle. And for triangle, the directions by default, this angle point to the top. You can switch to bottom, to the left, to the right. Incorporate with this label and label markings. You can just make this label be here and make a pretty cool looking here. Let's run this for the triangle shape as well, and we can go to the diamond. So for diamond, it's only have around this attribute. Trapezoid also has a direction, so we can switch to the bottom, switch to the left, switch to the right. And there's L slope and R slope, so let's decide the slope of one side and slope for another side. And let's run this. Also, we go to Pentagon. So for Pentagon, we turn down the roundness. It draw a pentagon for you, and you also have a direction for top, bottom, and left, right. We also have the hexagon. So for hexagon, there's also a top, bottom, left, right directions, and around this. And we just go to the Bezier and the Polygon. Before I really dig in these two shapes, let's check out the image. So for image, there's a lot of attribute for the image shape. So we have the image margin. So that means the position this program to draw the image within this picker button. So you can assign the image size. Say I just pick one. Say this warning icon. So the image margin, by default, this image margin will be decided by this label align. So by default, the label is aligned to left and top. So the image will be aligned to left and top as well. So you can just tweak this left and top parameters to decide the position of this image in this picker button. So let's see, I want to put it down a little bit, and I want to the select button being positioned in this area. So I just tweak these label markings to make it more right side and turn on the. So maybe for the vertical line, we just use center, and we can just turn on the background shapes. Okay, so you can just T to scale it, and you got a button with an icon. That's pretty cool, huh? You can also assign a pressed image. The image will be displayed instead of this normal image when you press the mouse button down. Okay, so by default it's just being darker, and you can just assign another image to mimicking the real button being pressed. Also, there's a select edge image. So what does that mean? That means when this image, I mean this picker button from here, it's a select button. If it contains a node here, and when the node be selected, this picker button will become white. But instead, you can assign the image to be displayed when it's highlighted instead of this white color effect. Okay, so this is a select edge image, and actually this attribute only makes sense to edge select button, since for command button, attribute button, or other type of picker button, it doesn't highlight for the selection. Another thing I will mention that is here I picked an image file as its image, and this action will also copy the image to the shape folder. So if I browse the current picker directory, you can see that image is already copied to this shape picker folder. So it will try its best to maintain the relative path so that you can move this shape picker data everywhere, and this image will still work. Okay, so I've already covered all the shapes but the polygon and Bezier shapes. So let's check out the polygon shape first. Here I got a rectangle shape select button. So if I go to the shape area here and I switch to the polygon, and it will convert the rectangle into polygon for you. So you can just move these points and insert new points, or using your left mouse button. And when you move it, you can hold the shift key to move it horizontally or vertically. And to remove a point from this shape, you just use the delete key and select the point and press the delete key to delete that point. If I want to clear all these shapes here and redraw it over, you just use the backspace. Backspace is only for the removing a point, so you use the shift backspace. This will clear all the shapes for you, so you can draw them again from scratch. This is pretty much for the polygon shape. During the drawing of this polygon, I have already switched to the polygon tool. So when you switch the shapes from other type of shapes into polygon shapes, we will activate the polygon tools for you. So the hotkey for that is P. So what happens if I draw say I reset it. If I switch to the polygon tool and if I click on this rectangle shape select button, it will ask you if you want to convert the shapes to polygon. So if you say OK, it will switch to the polygon shape and you are ready to draw it. Okay. For Bezier, if I create a default rectangle and switch to the Bezier tool, it will clear all the shapes but switch to the Bezier tool for you. So for now you are ready to create Bezier shapes. You just left mouse button, click and drag. You can hold the shift key to constrain these Bezier handles, say to horizontal or vertical. So I want to draw some shapes here. Just you did in the Illustrator or the Photoshop. So to move an exist point, you just click that point and move it and tweak the handles. So say I want to break this handle constraint so they don't stay in a perfect line. So I just use the Alt key, and when the mouse hover on this handle, it will become red. When it becomes red, it's ready to be manipulated. So I use Alt key and I just drag this. See the handle being breaked, so now you are free to move this. If you accidentally doing some mistake, you just press Z to undo that, and you can move it. You can move the handles. Say if I want to make this back to the constraint handle so they appear more smooth, not these pretty crease angles. So you just hold Alt key and left mouse button click on this point and drag. It will remake this handle, and if you want to break them, you just Alt key move this handle. Okay, so this is pretty much the same as what you did in Photoshop using the path tool. Okay, just like the polygon tool, you can just use the delete key to delete a certain point. Say I insert a point here and I delete it. You can also use the shift and backspace to clear all the shapes. Okay, we already finished drawing these shapes. So what I'm gonna do if I want to transform them, say I want to scale them and I want to rotate them a little bit and maybe flip horizontally. So how to do that? For scale, you just use the T hotkey to switch to the transform tool. You just scale it and it will scale with this transform handles. So this is the scale, but how to rotate? Okay, so let's pick one more better example for demonstrate that. We can just scale it up. So how to say rotate them? So to rotate a Bezier or Polygon shape, you just right click on the button and then edit. Sorry, the menu is not visible, but the same menu can be accessible in the transform tool. You just right click and transform polygon Bezier shapes. Also, you can, if you switch to the polygon tool, you right click, you also have access to the transform polygon shape, and we just click it to open our transform dialog. So using this dialog, you can just rotate the shapes, and you can flip. Say I reset this rotation, and I say I want to flip vertical and horizontally. So for this shape, it doesn't make sense if you flip it. So I just maybe I rotate it 45 degree and horizontal. For this shape, it doesn't make sense because it apply the flip first and then rotate it. So if I am happy with these shapes, I just say apply. It will transform the shapes. And the same thing happened to the Bezier. Another tip is if I want to edit the shape of this pick a button, if you double click, it still lets you input the label. So you can select this button and press the enter key. It will enter this shape tool. Because it's Bezier, so it will activate the Bezier tool for you. If it's polygon, it will activate the polygon tool for you. So with the enter hotkey, you can enter this draw and edit mode to draw the shapes. Okay, so let's say I want to the shape like this, like angry eyes, and I want to flip this eyes. I just go to the transform tool and right click and transform Bezier shape. So the same thing happened here. If I horizontal flips, it will flip horizontal, and vertical flips. Okay, this is pretty much about this. Another thing I want to mention is sometimes you draw shapes and you transform them, and if you switch to the preview tool, you find that if you click on this button, nothing happens. See, for now it works because the button become dark. It knows that you are clicking the button. But sometimes these shapes being so arbitrarily added, and if you click on the button, in some area it echo the press, but in some area it just not. So for this kind of situation, you just use this edit tool to select the button and use Ctrl R to scale it to preferred size. So this will tell the item to the exist of these shapes. So next time you use the preview tool, you click on this, it won't echo to your press, and click within this shape area, it will echo to your press. This is a little tip for these Bezier and polygon shapes. Sometimes it doesn't echo to the mouse press, but you can just resize it to preferred size to tell him to recalculate the border of this shape, and so you can click within this shape, it will echo to your press. Another thing I didn't mention before is that this sample panel. Okay, this is actually a preview button here. For now it has a S text here. That means the next time if you create a select button, it will be a shape like this. Say I will switch to the select tool and I draw, it will create a shape indicating here. So if I switch to the command button tool, it will show you what does it look if you create a command button next. Okay, so if I tweak these panels here into green, so next time you create a command button, it will be green. Okay, so the parameter here if you tweak it, it doesn't affect any existing picker button. If I switch to the attribute button, the attribute is actually like this. So if I pick, say, since I selected, it also preview the style for you. So next time I create the attribute button, it will be like this, because you can tell that from this preview button. Okay, so this is pretty useful. If you really want to create the default looking of the button, you just press the reset. Okay, so next time you create an attribute button, it will be the default looking. This is a design in the Picker Studio, because if you pick something, next time you create the same type of this button, it will be exactly look like this button. The last thing I want to mention regarding of the shape is that you can use the copy paste property tool to copy the shapes. Say I want to create this polygon shapes and apply it to this button. So say for this command button, I just copy that. So I can just left mouse button click on this command button to apply this shape. Okay, so you already transform the shapes into Bezier and scale the Bezier shape to fit in the original size. Okay,